Growing up in the leafy, comfortable suburbs of Ann Arbor, Michigan, Alex Chen learned his place in the family ecosystem early on. It wasn't explicitly stated, never codified in household rules, but it was an undeniable atmospheric pressure, constant and defining. His younger brother Leo was the sun, and Alex was a satellite orbiting in his shadow, required to be steady, predictable, and largely invisible unless needed for logistical support. Their parents, David and May Chen, perpetuated this dynamic, perhaps unconsciously at first, but with growing deliberateness as the years passed. David, struggling to keep his small import-export business afloat amidst changing markets, seemed to invest all his hopes and increasingly anxious pride in Leo, the charming, athletic younger son destined, in David's eyes, for conventional success, perhaps a business school, maybe even law. May, caught between David's anxieties and her own traditional expectations of family harmony, became the primary enforcer of the unspoken rule. Leo's needs, Leo's feelings, Leo's potential came first. Harmony, in the Chen household, meant ensuring Leo remained undisturbed and adequately celebrated. Alex, quiet, introspective, with a mind that gravitated towards the elegant logic of math and the intricate challenges of machines, didn't fit the mold. His early academic brilliance was met with lukewarm acknowledgement. He remembered bringing home a fifth-grade report card gleaming with straight A's, including perfect scores in advanced math. He presented it proudly at the dinner table. David glanced at it, grunted, "Good, keep your grades up," then immediately turned to Leo. "So, son, tell me about soccer practice today?" "Coach think you've got a shot at starting forward next game?" May smiled brightly at Leo, adding, "I packed extra cookies for you today, sweetie. You must have worked so hard." Alex's report card lay forgotten beside his plate. Later that same year, Leo brought home a report card sprinkled with C's and a single B-. David sighed heavily, but May rushed to praise him. "Oh, Leo, look at this effort in social studies, a C+. That's real progress, honey. Let's go out for ice cream tonight to celebrate how hard you tried." Alex, observing silently, learned the lesson. Leo was rewarded for effort, however mediocre the result. Alex's results, however excellent, were simply expected, unworthy of note. This disparity extended beyond academics. Resources, time, attention all flowed disproportionately towards Leo. When Alex, around 14, became fascinated with robotics after a school demonstration, he spent weeks meticulously saving his meager earnings from mowing neighbors' lawns, hoping to buy a specific microcontroller kit needed for a robot arm he was designing in secret sketches. He cautiously asked his father if he could order the $75 kit online. David dismissed it instantly. "More electronic junk, Alex? Focus on your real homework, things that matter. We don't have money to waste on expensive toys." Yet the very next month, when Leo decided he wanted to try out for the travel ice hockey team, David and May somehow found several $100s for new skates, pads, and league fees. "He needs the proper equipment to compete, May," David had justified during a hushed late-night discussions Alex overheard. "It's an investment in his development, his teamwork skills." Alex, listening from his room, felt the familiar, bitter sting of the double standard. He ended up salvaging parts from discarded electronics in the garage for his robot arm project. Parental attention followed the same skewed lines. Alex poured months into preparing a complex project on algorithmic pattern recognition for the regional high school science fair. He made it to the final round, a significant achievement. His parents promised they'd try to attend the award ceremony. The afternoon of the event, May called him minutes before his presentation slot. "Oh, honey, terrible news!" Leo just twisted his ankle slightly playing basketball in the driveway. "Nothing serious, but your father wants to get it checked out at urgent care just to be safe. We won't be able to make it down there after all." "So sorry, break a leg." Alex presented his project alone, winning second place. When he told his parents later, they offered a distracted, "Oh, that's nice, dear," before launching into a detailed analysis of whether Leo's ankle needed wrapping. Contrast this with Leo securing the role of tree number 2 in the school play. David and May attended both the evening performances, sat in the front row armed with a camcorder, and gushed for the weeks afterward about Leo's natural stage presence. Household responsibilities also fell disproportionately on Alex. He was expected to mow the lawn, rake leaves, shovel the driveway in Michigan's heavy winters, take out the trash, and increasingly help his father with tedious inventory counts or bookkeeping for the struggling business after school. He was responsible, mature, capable. Adjectives used to justify loading him with unpaid labor. Leo, meanwhile, was perpetually excused. He has soccer practice. Big game tomorrow, needs his rest, or May's favorite. Oh, Leo's just not cut out for that kind of work. He finds it stressful. Alex found his refuge in the quiet corners of his life. The school library, the basement workbench where he tinkered with salvaged electronics, the glow of his second-hand computer screen late at night after his chores and homework were done. He taught himself advanced programming languages, devoured online physics lectures, participated in coding competitions under pseudonyms, sometimes winning small cash prizes he meticulously saved. His passion for robotics and artificial intelligence wasn't a hobby. It was his escape, the realm where his intellect was valued, where the rules were logical, where effort yielded results. He learned early to keep his true interests, his real achievements, largely hidden. Sharing them only invited dismissal or worse, comparison to Leo's more relatable pursuits. The constant invalidation didn't crush his ambition. Instead, it tempered it into a quiet, steely determination. He wouldn't just succeed. He would succeed on his own terms, building a life so far removed from their narrow expectations that their judgment could no longer touch him. He began researching universities, not just the safe state schools his parents assumed he'd attend, but the elite engineering programs, Stanford, CMU, MIT. He downloaded financial aid forms, studied scholarship requirements, mapping out his escape route with the same methodical precision that he applied to designing circuits. His goal wasn't just a degree, it was liberation. High school unfolded along predictably divergent paths for the Chen brothers. Leo, buoyed by his parents' unwavering support and resources, navigated the social currents with ease. He made the competitive travel hockey team, an achievement celebrated with expensive new equipment funded by David and May, weekend trips meticulously coordinated by May, often causing them to miss Alex's significantly more impressive academic competitions. Leo was reasonably popular, coasted through classes with mediocre grades. He's finding his balance, May would insist. Not everyone is a bookworm like Alex. His efforts directed more towards maintaining his social standing in athletic pursuits than academic excellence. David, seeing a reflection of the conventional success he craved, encouraged Leo's networking, pushing him towards Michigan's business school. Alex, meanwhile, retreated further into his own world, one built on intellect, hard work, and secrecy. His after-school hours weren't spent at sports practices, but at a series of demanding part-time jobs, first bussing tables at a local diner, then graduating to a position at a busy computer repair shop near campus. The repair shop job, while still involving long hours and often tedious work, at least utilized his technical skills and paid slightly better, allowing him to accelerate his savings plan. He became a ghost in his own home, a quiet presence moving between school, the repair shop, and the makeshift workshop he'd established in a corner of the dusty, unfinished basement, his true sanctuary. Down there, surrounded by salvaged components, soldering tools, and the glow of multiple monitors, Alex's real life unfolded. He taught himself advanced programming languages, devoured complex AI research papers, and honed his skills in robotics design. His high school's underfunded robotics club, largely ignored by the administration, became his outlet. Under Alex's technical leadership and innovative designs, the small, overlooked team started achieving shocking successes at regional competitions, then statewide. Alex deflected any attention, attributing wins to teamwork, careful not to draw unwanted focus from his family. He also secretly entered online coding challenges and hackathons under pseudonyms. Winning wasn't just about the intellectual validation. The prize money, $500 here, $1,000 there, went directly into a hidden online savings account he'd opened, slowly building his escape fund. His physics and computer science teachers, particularly a perceptive doctor, Evans recognized his exceptional talent. They offered mentorship, access to advanced lab equipment after hours, and, crucially, wrote glowing letters of recommendation detailing abilities far exceeding his peers. Letters Alex carefully filed away, never mentioning them at home. Conversations about college plans at the Chen dinner table were brief and pointedly directed. Leo, you need to start thinking seriously about those UMich B school essays, David would advise, launching into lectures about networking and alumni connections. May would chime in, worrying about application deadlines for Leo, discussing potential dorm choices. When the topic turned to Alex, the tone shifted. State University has a decent engineering program, Alex, Richard would state matter-of-factly. Practical choice. Keep your expectations realistic. May would add, Maybe even start at Washtenaw Community College for a year. Ease into it, stay close to home while Leo finishes high school. Alex learned to nod noncommittally, offering vague assurances about looking into local options, while secretly finalizing applications to MIT, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, and, yes, UMich's elite College of Engineering. Aiming high, meticulously documenting his achievements and financial need for the extensive scholarship and aid forms, he completed alone late at night after work and homework. The real game changer arrived during his junior year. Through an online platform connecting developers with startups, Alex landed a complex freelance project, debugging and optimizing a critical piece of machine learning code for a fledgling Ann Arbor tech firm. The founders, impressed by his online portfolio under his pseudonym, offered a substantial fixed fee if he could meet their tight deadline. For 2 intense months, Alex barely slept, juggling his AAP coursework, his repair shop job, and this demanding freelance gig. He poured every spare moment into the code, untangling complex algorithms, finding elegant solutions. He delivered the finished project 2 days ahead of schedule. The startup was ecstatic with the results. The payment, $10,000, landed in his secret bank account feeling like a fortune. That money represented more than just financial gain. It was proof. Proof that his skills had real-world value. Proof that he could succeed entirely independently. Proof that he didn't need the sterling Chen family name or connections. It solidified his resolve and significantly bolstered his escape fund. He continued taking on select freelance projects when time allowed, treating Phoenix Capital, no, his personal savings and investments, with the seriousness of a C-suite executive managing a critical portfolio. As senior year progressed, Alex perfected the art of emotional detachment. He attended family dinners, endured the endless commentary about Leo's hockey stats or social life, deflected questions about his own sensible college plans, and offered polite, minimal responses. The old sting of being overlooked hadn't vanished entirely, but it was overlaid now with a quiet pity for their blindness and a fierce, focused determination. He observed them almost like an anthropologist studying a bafflingly predictable tribe. Their opinions, their validation, they no longer mattered. He had built his own internal compass and had pointed resolutely away from Ann Arbor, towards a future they couldn't even conceive of for him. All his energy narrowed onto one goal: the acceptance letters, the scholarship confirmations, the final calculations needed to achieve escape velocity and break free from their gravitational pull for good. Spring arrived in Ann Arbor, bringing with it the nervous energy of college decision season. While Leo stressed about his U-Michigan Business School application, a legacy admission David was actively leveraging contacts for, Alex conducted his own vigil in secret, obsessively checking university admissions portals late at night after his parents were asleep, his heart pounding with each login attempt. Rejections from a couple of hyper-competitive programs stung but didn't deter him. Then acceptances began to trickle in. University of Michigan's prestigious College of Engineering, a solid victory he knew might even elicit mild approval at home. Then Carnegie Mellon's renowned School of Computer Science, a thrill that sent shivers down his spine. Stanford, almost unbelievable. He kept each acceptance carefully hidden, digital letters saved to encrypted drives, physical letters intercepted before his parents saw the mail. And then the email arrived that changed everything. Subject, your MIT admissions. Decision is available. His hands trembled so violently he could barely type his login credentials. The page loaded. He scanned past the introductory text, his eyes jumping to the first crucial word, congratulations. He stopped breathing, reading it again. Congratulations. The admissions committee has offered you admission to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's class of... He scrolled down frantically, past the welcome messages, searching for the financial aid information. He clicked the link, entered another password, and waited, breathless. The award letter materialized on screen. MIT scholarship. Grant. Federal grant. Work study. Estimated total cost of attendance. Expected family contribution, $0. Expected student contribution, $0, covered by Grant's just work study. He read it 3 times, his eyes blurring with tears, not of sadness, but of overwhelming, incredulous relief. A full ride. Everything covered. Tuition, fees, room, board, even stipends for books and living expenses. 4 years at the best engineering school on the planet, and it wouldn't cost his family, the family who likely wouldn't have contributed anyway, a single cent. Years of silent struggle, late nights coding, sacrificing social life, enduring dismissal, it had all led to this. He leaned back in his desk chair in the quiet sanctuary of the basement workshop, the glow of the monitor reflecting in his wet eyes, and laughed softly, clutching the printed acceptance letter. He'd immediately printed it, like a passport to a new world. He had done it. He had his escape. Buoyed by this monumental, life-altering news, a sliver of naive hope flickered within him. Maybe this, he thought, maybe an achievement this significant, this undeniable, this free, would finally penetrate their indifference. Maybe MIT was a name even they couldn't dismiss. He decided against his better judgment, perhaps, to share the news at dinner a few nights later. He waited for a lull in the usual conversation, which inevitably revolved around Leo's upcoming JV basketball team tryouts. "So," Alex began, trying to keep his voice casual, nonchalant. "I heard back from the last of the colleges I applied to." He slid a printed copy of the MIT acceptance letter onto the table beside his father's plate. "Good news. I got into MIT." David glanced down at the distinctive MIT letterhead, registered the name, and raised an eyebrow almost imperceptibly. "MIT, huh?" he grunted, picking up his fork again. "Impressive name. Tough program, I hear. Pass the potatoes, May." May offered Alex a fleeting, nervous smile. "Oh my, MIT. Isn't that very challenging, Alex? And all the way out in Boston? That's so far from home." Before Alex could even mention the full scholarship, May turned brightly towards her younger son. "Speaking of impressive, Leo, honey, did you tell Alex the really exciting news? You made the junior varsity basketball team. First try! Your father and I are just so incredibly proud of you." And just like that, Alex's life-changing acceptance to MIT, complete with a full scholarship, evaporated into thin air. The next 15 minutes were consumed entirely by dissecting Leo's athletic achievement, his potential playing time, the cost of new high-top sneakers David promised to buy him, May's plans to attend every single game. Alex sat frozen, his fork hovering over his now cold food, the MIT letter lying ignored on the table. The crushing weight of their indifference, the stark reality of his perpetual secondary status, settled over him with nauseating finality. Nothing he could ever achieve would matter more than Leo's most mundane accomplishment. The hope flickered and died completely. The other shoe dropped 2 weeks later. David called Alex into the kitchen after dinner, a rare summons for a formal family meeting. May sat at the table, twisting a napkin in her lap, avoiding his eyes. Leo, conveniently, was upstairs doing homework. The atmosphere felt heavy, predetermined. "Alex," David began, adopting the solemn tone he used for delivering unpleasant news or asserting authority. "Your mother and I have been doing a lot of thinking about your college plans, about what's truly best for this family." Alex waited, a cold dread settling in his stomach. He knew this wasn't going to be good. "We have discussed it at length," David continued, "and we've made a decision. It's simply not the right path for you right now. You won't be going to Cambridge this fall." The words hung in the air, stark and unbelievable despite everything. "What?" Alex managed, his voice barely a whisper. "But the scholarship. It covers everything. It costs you nothing." David waved a dismissive hand as if brushing away an irrelevant fly. "It's not just about the money, Alex, though frankly, these full scholarships rarely cover everything. There are the hidden costs, travel. Boston's an expensive city, far from home. It's unrealistic." May nodded mutely beside him. "We feel," David pressed on, "that starting at Washtenaw Community College for a year or two is a much more sensible, grounded plan. Build a solid foundation locally, prove you can handle the workload, then maybe consider transferring to Michigan if things work out." "Sensible?" Alex repeated, disbelief warring with rising anger. "It's MIT!" "On a full ride. How is turning that down sensible?" Then came the real reason, delivered with a veneer of parental concern. "Besides the practicalities," David leaned forward slightly, his expression hardening, "there are responsibilities here at home. Leo," he lowered his voice slightly, "is starting high school this fall. That's a critical, challenging time for a young man. He needs stability. He needs guidance." May picked up the cues seamlessly, her voice laced with practiced worry. "He needs his older brother around, Alex. someone to look up to keep him focused on his studies, make sure he stays out of trouble. You're so good with computers. You could help him so much. David delivered the final verdict. My business is demanding more travel now with this new overseas account, and your mother, as you know, has picked up extra evening shifts at the library to help with the budget. A budget strained, Alex knew, largely by Leo's expenses. We need you here, Alex, to be the man of the house, essentially. To keep an eye on Leo, make sure the household runs smoothly. It's your duty as the older son. My duty? Alex echoed, the injustice of it stealing his breath. My duty is to sacrifice MIT, my scholarship, my entire future so I can stay here and babysit Leo because you two won't? The carefully controlled composure finally cracked. This is insane. It costs you nothing for me to go. Richard slammed his hand flat on the kitchen table, making the salt shaker jump. Enough, he commanded, his voice sharp with authority. I won't have this disrespect. While you live under this roof, you will adhere to our decisions. Community college is the responsible choice for this family, and that is final. This discussion is over. May delivered the coup de grace, tears welling in her eyes as she reached a pleading hand toward Alex. How can you even think of abandoning your family, Alex? Abandoning your brother when he needs you the most? After everything we've done for you? Is this how you repay our sacrifices? The sheer manipulative hypocrisy of it all was suffocating. Alex looked from his father's rigid anger to his mother's tearful emotional blackmail. Arguing further was pointless. They weren't discussing. They were dictating. They saw his dream not as something to celebrate, but as an inconvenience to their plans, a threat to the established order that revolved entirely around Leo. A chilling calm settled over Alex, extinguishing the last flames of hopeful protest. He stopped arguing. He met his father's glare, then his mother's pleading eyes. He gave a single curt nod. Okay, he said quietly, the word tasting like ash in his mouth. He let them see the flicker of defeat they expected. I understand. They visibly relaxed, exchanging a brief glance of relief. They had won. The family equilibrium centered on Leo was preserved. Inside, however, Alex Chen was already miles away. They hadn't just denied him MIT. They had severed the last fraying thread of connection. His escape plan, once a long-term strategy, instantly became an immediate, urgent necessity. The immediate aftermath of the family meeting left Alex reeling, not with defeat, but with a chilling, absolute certainty. He retreated to the basement workshop, the scent of solder and circuitry usually a comfort, now feeling like the walls of a cage he had to break free from. Their decision wasn't a negotiation. It was a decree, an attempt to chain him to their needs, to sacrifice his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity on the altar of Leo's convenience. The betrayal felt physical, severing the last vestigial threads of loyalty or hope he might have unconsciously clung to. There was no room for compromise, no possibility of changing their minds. There was only escape. That same night, using the encrypted browser on his personal laptop, Alex logged into the MIT admissions portal. His fingers trembled slightly as he navigated to the decision page. He clicked the button, Accept Offer of Admission. He then meticulously uploaded the required documentation to accept the massive financial aid package, digitally signing agreements that felt like declarations of independence. He drafted a carefully worded email to the MIT housing office, explaining that due to an unsupportive and potentially unstable home environment, he required the earliest possible move-in date offered for freshmen, subtly hinting at the need for a clean break without revealing the full extent of the family drama. An automated confirmation arrived moments later. Step 1. Complete. His next crucial step was confiding in Sam Rodriguez. Sam, his best friend since middle school, a pragmatic engineering student already at UMich, was the only person who had consistently seen Alex's potential and understood the suffocating dynamics of the Chen household. They met the next afternoon in a neutral park halfway between their houses. Alex laid out the whole story, the MIT acceptance, the full scholarship, his parents' shocking refusal, and their demand he stay home for Leo. Sam listened, his usual easygoing expression hardening into disbelief, then anger on Alex's behalf. Dude, that's not just messed up, that's insane. They can't do that. Full ride to MIT and they want you to babysit Leo at community college? He shook his head vehemently. No way, man, you have to go. What do you need? Relief flooded Alex. Help, he said simply. I need to get my important stuff out of the house without them knowing. My robotics equipment, computer backups, important documents, savings. Can I store things at your place? Your parents' garage? Garage, basement, my dorm room closet if needed. Sam agreed instantly. Consider it done. Operation MIT Freedom is a go. Over the next few weeks, Operation MIT Freedom proceeded with clandestine precision. Alex became a master of subterfuge. Late at night, after his parents were asleep, he'd carefully box up crucial robotics components, hard drives containing years of code and design work, his most valued technical manuals. He subtly retrieved his birth certificate, social security card, and passport from the filing cabinet where May kept family documents, replacing them with innocuous school papers. Using excuses like cleaning out junk for a garage sale or taking old projects to the recycling center, he made multiple trips in his beat-up sedan, ferrying the boxes over to Sam's parents' garage, unloading them quickly and quietly. Each trip was fraught with tension, the fear of discovery a constant knot in his stomach. Simultaneously, he fortified his financial independence. He confirmed all his earnings, prize money from coding competitions, savings from the repair shop job, payments from freelance projects, were consolidated in the separate online bank account his parents knew nothing about. He began systematically selling off any non-essential physical assets online, his old gaming console, collectible figures, even some of the less crucial tech gear, using Sam's address for shipping or local pickups, converting everything into digital funds within a secure account. The hardest part was maintaining the facade at home. He endured family dinners, nodding politely while David lectured him about the practical benefits of starting at Washtenaw Community College. He downloaded their course catalog, pretending to browse options. He even helped Leo configure the brand new, expensive laptop David and May had bought him for starting high school, biting back the bitter irony. He played the part of the dutiful, slightly disappointed but ultimately compliant son, all while inwardly counting down the days until his planned departure in mid-August for MIT's early orientation program. The strain was immense. He operated on minimal sleep, fueled by caffeine, adrenaline, and the burning anticipation of freedom. Finally, the day arrived. Mid-August. His early move-in date was confirmed. He had given his 2 weeks' notice at the repair shop, citing starting college soon. His escape fund was secure. His most valuable possessions were safely stored at Sam's. He spent his last evening at home performing his usual chores, interacting minimally, finalizing his plan. At 4 a.m., while the house was dark and utterly silent, Alex moved like a ghost. He took one last look around the basement workshop, the space where he had truly found himself. Then upstairs he placed a simple folded note on his strip mattress, choosing a different path. Please don't try to contact me. He picked up his single duffel bag and backpack, containing only clothes and toiletries, his primary laptop, chargers, essential documents, and his remaining cash, slipped out the back door into the cool pre-dawn darkness and walked quickly, silently down the street. Sam was waiting exactly where they'd agreed, a block away, engine idling quietly in his reliable old Honda. Alex threw his bags into the back seat and slid into the passenger side, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. "Ready?" Sam asked softly, understanding the gravity of the moment. Alex looked back one last time at the dark silhouette of the house that had been both his home and his prison. He took a deep breath, then nodded, unable to speak. "Yeah," he finally managed, his voice thick with a complex mix of grief and exhilaration. "Go!" Sam put the car in gear, and they pulled away smoothly from the curb. They drove through the sleeping Ann Arbor suburbs, streetlights casting long shadows, then merged onto the highway heading east just as the first faint streaks of dawn began to paint the Michigan sky. A profound sense of relief washed over Alex, so potent it was almost dizzying. It was mingled with fear of the unknown, the sharp pang of severing family ties, but dominated by the overwhelming, intoxicating feeling of liberation. "MIT, man," Sam said quietly, glancing over with a grin as they crossed the state line into Ohio. "You actually did it. You earned this. Go build something amazing." Alex finally allowed himself a smile, watching the road unspool before them, carrying him towards a future that was, for the first time, entirely his own. The moment Alex Chen stepped onto the MIT campus that late August, leaving Ann Arbor and his family irrevocably behind, felt like surfacing into breathable air after years underwater. The atmosphere in Cambridge was electric, a dizzying concentration of brilliant minds, relentless intellectual curiosity, and cutting-edge technology. He thrived. No longer needing to hide his passion or downplay his abilities, Alex immersed himself completely in the demanding world of Course 6, electrical engineering, and computer science, focusing on robotics and artificial intelligence. He found his tribe among peers who spoke his language: algorithms, neural networks, control systems. He spent countless hours in the labs, collaborating on projects, pushing the boundaries of his knowledge. He wasn't the joke here. He was a valued contributor, his insights respected, his quiet intensity recognized as focus, not awkwardness. He worked closely with renowned professors, absorbing everything, his potential finally nurtured instead of stifled. Summer internships took him to leading tech firms in California and Massachusetts, where he further honed his skills and began building a professional network entirely separate from his past. He graduated magna cum laude, top of his concentration in AI and robotics, fielding multiple lucrative job offers. The diploma felt heavy with earned achievement, a world away from the dismissive reception his acceptance letter had received. He chose Seattle, drawn by its vibrant tech scene and its physical distance from Michigan. He accepted a position as a robotics engineer at Ether Systems, a rapidly growing company specializing in advanced automation and AI-driven logistics, a fictionalized major tech firm. Alex's talent, work ethic, and innovative thinking quickly set him apart. He wasn't just competent, he was exceptional. Within 3 years, he'd been promoted twice, leading a team developing a groundbreaking autonomous warehouse navigation system that significantly boosted efficiency for Ether's clients. By his late 20s, he was a principal engineer, commanding a substantial six-figure salary, augmented by valuable stock options in the thriving company. His disciplined saving and investing habits, honed during his secret escape fund years, continued. Now, fueled by a significant income and a deep understanding of market dynamics, especially in tech, his personal wealth grew exponentially. He made savvy investments in AI startups, biotech ventures, and emerging software platforms, quietly amassing a multi-million-dollar portfolio. At 26, he bought his first home, not a starter house, but a sleek modern condominium in a desirable downtown Seattle building overlooking Puget Sound. He paid cash. The feeling of owning property achieved entirely through his own efforts was a profound milestone, a tangible symbol of his independence. But success wasn't solely defined by career or finances. Haunted by the lack of support he had faced, Alex felt compelled to give back. He established the Catalyst STEM Initiative, a small, privately funded nonprofit foundation focused on providing scholarships, mentorship, and equipment grants to underprivileged high school students in the Seattle area who showed exceptional promise. Throughout these 7 years, Alex maintained absolute radio silence with the Chens in Ann Arbor. He had changed his phone number immediately after leaving, used secure, unlisted email addresses, and kept his online presence minimal and pseudonymous. He ensured MIT's alumni directory listed him as unlisted. He built firewalls around his new life, ensuring there was no easy trail leading back. His family, trapped in their narrative of him as the disappointing community college student likely struggling in some low-level job, apparently never tried, or never succeeded, in finding him. Their silence was a blessing he didn't question. SE in science, technology, engineering, and math, particularly robotics and AI. He poured his own time and money into it, finding deep satisfaction in nurturing the potato that his own family had refused to see in him. Their silence was a blessing he didn't question. Life, however, had more in store than just professional success and philanthropic endeavors. At an AI ethics summit hosted by the University of Washington, Alex found himself on a panel discussing the future of autonomous systems. One of the other panelists was Dr. Sarah Jenkins, a brilliant, highly respected researcher specializing in the societal and ethical implications of artificial intelligence. Her insightful questions and articulate arguments immediately captured Alex's attention. They connected intellectually first, engaging in stimulating debates during conference breaks about everything from algorithmic bias to the future of human-robot interaction. Sarah possessed a warm intelligence, a sharp wit, and a deep-seated ethical core that resonated strongly with Alex. He found himself drawn not just to her mind, but to her calm, grounded presence. Their professional connection slowly, cautiously evolved into something personal. They discovered shared loves, hiking the dramatic landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, exploring Seattle's diverse neighborhoods, quiet evenings spent discussing complex ideas. Alex, scarred by his past and inherently private, found himself opening up to Sarah in ways he hadn't thought possible. He shared fragments of his upbringing, the feeling of being overlooked, the pressure, the lack of validation, Perhaps not the full raw details initially, but enough for her to understand the roots of his guardedness. Sarah, perhaps possessing her own understanding of complex family dynamics or simply gifted with profound empathy, listened without judgment. She didn't offer platitudes. She offered perspective, understanding, and unwavering support. Her own healthy boundaries and clear communication provided a model Alex slowly began to emulate. Encouraged by her and recognizing the need to fully process the deep wounds of his childhood, Alex started seeing a therapist, finally beginning the difficult work of unpacking years of emotional neglect and familial betrayal. His life in Seattle became richer, fuller. He had his demanding but rewarding career, his meaningful nonprofit work, and now a deepening relationship with Sarah built on mutual respect, intellectual sparks, and genuine emotional connection. He also cultivated his chosen family. Close friends from his MIT cohort who had also landed in Seattle, supportive mentors at Ether Systems, fellow board members from his foundation. These were people who celebrated his successes without jealousy, offered support without obligation, and valued him for who he was, not what he could provide. It was the family he had always craved, built by choice and not by blood. The ghosts of Ann Arbor still lingered sometimes, but their power was fading, replaced by the vibrant reality of the new world he had painstakingly built for himself.